Welcome, Jackie.
Thanks, Bill.
Welcome, Daniel. Welcome, Daniel. You're muted.
Good afternoon. How's it going?
We're good. I've got one,
Bill,
two.
is it?
Yeah, it's Bill here. I'll just turn the video on. Hopefully I don't kill the system. So people, Bill Gemmell's my name. I'm the chair of Western Creek Community Council. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people here. We've also got our secretary, Michelle Bourdet, freeloading on my connection. So she's listening in and pinching my microphone. I've got your presentation, Daniel. Do you want me to open that in the shared screen mode?
I reckon that might be easiest, Bill. And are we good to go?
I believe we're good to go. Just give me a minute.
While you load that presentation, I might just give some context and just introduce who I am. So my name is Daniel Iglesias. I'm the branch manager for City Presentation, which is a branch in Transport Canberra and CityServe. And we're responsible for delivering a urban open space land management plan, which is what I'm going to talk to you about today. Now, before I do that, though, a little bit more context. So my team is about 500 in number, and they are tasked with delivering all manner of public open space maintenance and management. So if you like, we're right at the end of the pipeline. We are the government agency that is out there every day maintaining the green assets. So you'll see our staff in the fluoro tops, and they'll be cleaning barbecues, they'll be mowing parks, they'll be cleaning barbecues, they'll be mowing sports grounds, chopping down trees that are dangerous on roadsides. That's our team. And one of the key documents for us is the Urban Open Space Land and Management Plan, which articulates what we do and where we do it. So we'll go to the next slide, please, Bill.
Hey, it worked.
It worked. You've done this before.
No, not on this. Last time I put this on, everybody was talking about the cup of tea they were having at home.
Okay, fair enough. It's really important for us to acknowledge that we are just the latest in a long line of land managers that have got responsibility on behalf of the community to look after these urban spaces. We've had land managers in this context for over 8,000 years and probably longer than that. So I think it's important that we acknowledge those traditional land managers, the Ngunnawal people, and there are other families as well that identify as traditional custodians, and recognise and acknowledge their elders past and present. It's important to note that on these areas that I'm going to be talking about, even today, there is evidence and sites and important artefacts of how things used to be done. Thanks, Bill. We'll take the next slide. So as far as Canberra is concerned, I've travelled to about 30 capital cities so far, and I haven't found one that approximates what we've got in this place when we're talking about urban open space. The facts are remarkable. There is no one that lives in the ACT, in the built-up environment, that is more than about 400 metres from a green space that could be enjoyed, and just over 1 kilometre away from a nature reserve. And that's the measure that I'm referring to when I say that I haven't seen anything like it for a city our size. Let me be clear. This plan does not pick up the hills and ridges from where this picture was taken. This may well have been Mount Taylor, or I think is that Woden in the background. I can't tell with my eyes, but it doesn't cover those hills. What we are doing in this particular plan is all the bits in the urban footprint. And they can be from the parks, the urban parks that you'd recognise, all the way through to the laneway, or even the verge, even the nature strip in front of your home. This plan picks up all those areas, all those sorts of green spaces in the urban environments. Next slide, please. So, sorry, let me just, problem here with my screen. Give you a minute, make this go away. Okay, so as you'd expect, being in the urban area, lots and lots of investment in facilities. And you can see here an estimate of the numbers that we're talking about. And these sorts of facilities is typically what we invest in when we talk about enhancement or development in our urban open space. It's really important to understand that the territory plan limits what the territory can do on land that is urban open space. You cannot put multi-development sites on it. You cannot build 20 level apartment buildings. You can only put stuff there that is consistent with what the land use is. And when we're talking urban open space, it's all about recreation. It's all about community green space. It's all about nature conservation. That's it. There are some, in very few instances, you could argue for a building of any description. If you can say it's a toilet block or a change room, or if you can say that it's a depot to manage urban open space, then you'll get away with it. But that's about it. Next slide, Bill. So I think I've covered this one. We can go on to the next slide. So very quickly, there is a statutory requirement for land managers in the ACT that manage bits of land like these to produce a management plan. It's actually a requirement. And the management plan needs to do a number of things, and it needs to engage with the community and some key positions, some key statutory positions, and you can see them listed there. And that's to ensure that what we come up with is relevant and ticks the boxes. Next slide, thanks, Bill. So we're looking to produce a contemporary document. We want to ensure that it's engaged with what the traditional custodians expect, what the community expects. We want to make sure that it pays deference to environment and culture, and we want to ensure that its place within the context of urban development and climate change is understood and pretty clear. Let's face it, in a city like ours, green spaces are becoming more and more and more critical. And lots of other intersecting public policy, such as, for example, the review of the planning process, they all make reference to the importance of green space, and they all make reference to the importance of maintaining parks for well-being, as well as for building character and building a sense of place in a city. Next slide, thanks, Bill. So what we wanted from the plan is to tick off on all these things. We wanted to make sure that when people picked it up, they could put a tick box against each of these values. Most important amongst them is transparency, collaboration, and value for money for the taxpayer. We want to be able to support an urban open space system that ticks off on all that stuff, that people can feel safe about visiting with their families, and which can be accessible and inclusive to all manner of users. Thanks, Bill. Next slide. So what you'll find when you pick up this document is that we will go through the hierarchy of parks that we have, as you'd expect, in our urban open spaces. And we'll actually specify against each park what we believe are the sorts of activities that are appropriate and that that particular park can support. We'll also talk about the sorts of risks that might be posed in the management of those parks. We also speak about how we manage our own maintenance and management activities, and how we demonstrate that that is in keeping with preserving the values of the particular parks. So a good example might be how we manage clip from mowing, and how we need to improve to ensure that we're not contributing to a problem in our waterways. That's picked up in this document. Another good example is how we manage what we call dryland ovals. So there's 31 ex-sports ground ovals who had the irrigation turned off in the 90s. And how we manage those and what we do with those is explained in this particular document. The next slide. Hi, Nora. Nora, I've seen you at every one of these presentations. You must be getting sick of hearing this.
No, because I missed some things and I catch up on what I missed out on. So it's great.
Oh, okay.
It's good.
Very good. Thanks, Bill. Next slide. So we're keen to ask the community what they think, and because these are areas that are enjoyed by so many people, we know that there is a diversity of opinion. We've had this public consultation open since late May, so much longer than what is usual, in recognition that this will be of interest to a lot of people. Next slide. Thanks, Bill. So it's still not too late to make a submission. We're open till the 15th of August. You can see that there's some contact points there. We did run some pop-ups, which were really well attended at all the town centres, but I think we're done with all of those. They all happened early on. Yeah, the last one was in early July. Thanks, Bill. So where we're at is we're 2 weeks out from consultation closing. We'll then move to produce a what we heard report, which is pretty typical for these sorts of documents, which will outline what people told us and how we're going to incorporate those comments into the final document. The final document will then be presented to the Minister for City Services, which is Chris Steele. And according to the legislation, the Planning and Development Act, he has two options. You can turn around and tell us this is terrible, go back to the drawing board, start again, in which case it comes back to the Directorate, or he'll say, okay, fine, and he's obliged to then refer it to a standing committee of the Legislative Assembly, which would be the the Transport and City Services Standing Committee. And that standing committee has the option to hold public hearings if it so wishes. And given the nature of this document, there's a good chance that they will choose to do that. And that will take a process of time and be another opportunity for people to comment. Okay, next slide, please. I think we're almost done. So this is a 10-year document. It's got a 10-year lifespan. By necessity, you won't pick it up and find exactly what we're going to do at a particular park at a particular moment in time. But you will get a feel for what is possible in a particular park and what isn't possible. We'll review it after 5 years because inevitably the goalposts would have changed in 5 and definitely 10 years, and we'll do a review then. And next slide, I think that's it. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. I know you guys had a number of questions, some of which were relevant to this, some weren't, but I've been able to answer them as best I can. Hopefully you got hold of those ahead of this meeting, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Michelle, have you got any? I know you've got questions. Do you want to ask them now? Or? Okay, other people go first. Now, Secretary's got some questions, and I know I've got at least one that might be covered already. So, Christine, you got your hand up there? Is that you? You need to unmute. No?
It's not doing it. It's not happening for you, Christine. Maybe you can type it into the chat and Bill can read it out.
Mute her, Bill. You can unmute her for her.
You know more about this than I do. No, I can't. Can't find ask to unmute. No, won't work for me.
Weird.
Nikki, have you got a question?
No, I don't. I came in late, sorry.
I've got one relevant to what you would like to talk about, so I'll ask it.
Okay.
Are there any other questions here? Okay, I'll give it to Michelle for the moment. That voice off my computer is Michelle Bourdet, Council Secretary.
Well, I can ask Daniel if you like. Daniel, did you click on that link I sent you yesterday on the weeds?
No, I haven't yet. I haven't. Did you? When did you send it through?
Remember at last night's Zoom meeting?
Yeah.
In there, you didn't click on it there?
I haven't. No, I haven't. I didn't see it. Sorry, Nora.
Too late now. It's gone.
Is it? Oh, was it in the chat? Was it?
It was, yes. I could put it in this chat if you want.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the chat for you. You need to click on it and keep it.
Okay. Yeah, do that, and I'll click on it. I'm not hearing anything. Bill is.
You hear me, Daniel?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Try again. What's the problem with our microphone here? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Not yet. I'll try to get these questions passed over to me. It's about the open space zoning, and it seems to be quite variable in the context of the plan and the experience over here. And we've had a long-term issue with the area affectionately known as Kulo Park, and your people did provide answers to us.
So were we right in that we interpreted it as that block of land that we highlighted in the map? Is that what you're calling Kulo Park?
Yeah, correct. Everybody,
Right.
I shouldn't say everybody, we continually get different answers about what the future purpose is. Now, it was rezoned under the last territory plan amendment.
Yeah.
It appears, I've only just looked at the answers, and
yeah,
it appears, I'm now confused because your answers didn't align with the territory plan on, is it Actly, whatever the mapping thing is?
ACMAP I would hope they would, because that's where we got the detail from.
That's where we got the question from. So I'm a bit confused, and but how is it going to be protected? You're saying that we know further development on that site.
Well, hang on a minute. So what we have as a land manager in Transport Canberra City Services, we look after two types of land.
Yeah.
Or various types of lands. Land that is, if you're going to ACMAP, is designated a park, right? It's public land, open space. I think it's with a urban park overlay. Yeah. And it is a park. You look at it, it's a park. It's got plantings, it's got benches, it's got walking trails through it. It's obviously a park. Then there is another cohort of land which at the moment is open space, isn't developed as a park, but many in the community see it as an unofficial park, but could potentially be land reserved for other purposes. And I think in this case, it has a community services overlay on it. this particular area you're talking about. So potentially in the future, government could develop it in some way as a community facility of some description.
Yeah.
So we are, if you like, the caretaker manager of it, insofar that its intended land use has yet to transpire. And I believe what you're calling Kulo Park is in fact one of those sites.
It certainly is. And it's got two zonings on it. One's community facility, the other's open space. Now, obviously, next round of the territory plan upgrades, we're going to go hard to seek it be turned into designated park.
Yes.
That'll allow you to put some seats
exactly.
in.
Then we can invest. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Prior to doing that, really, these sorts of areas are at the bottom of our priority list because there is uncertainty as to what government wants to do.
Okay, so we need to give the government a certain certainty through our own advocacy efforts.
Absolutely.
Now, our secretary just had to hop out for a minute. I've got another question. You're responsible for the maintenance of these open spaces, the ones designated as an open space.
That's right.
And I accept you've got a limited budget. I continually have people, you've probably seen my correspondence on this, I continually hear from people about motor vehicle incursions into this open space.
Right.
Parking, driving, etc. But I know it's very hard to actually get any clear action to protect these bits of land. Now, the one on Calder Crescent in Holder, it's my current obsession.
Yeah.
There's a preschool that takes their kids there, but it doesn't seem to have any protection from the local tradies driving through to park under a tree to have their lunch. Now, to me, the two uses are entirely incompatible, and I'm aware of a few people who've had trips and tumbles in that park. So what do we do?
Again, so what you're doing, Bill, you're calling an area of land which is currently urban open space, which is not a park.
Okay.
You're seeing it with your eyes, and I can understand that. You're saying that's a park, it's open space, it's there for community use, right? But it isn't. In fact, you've named them. You've given them names that we didn't even know, we didn't even recognise because they're not part of our park system.
Okay.
So what we do in areas like that is where there is nevertheless a perceived risk to public well-being or public safety, we'll go in there and do our best, right? But so I'm eager to hear more about, these people behaving in the way they're doing, what driving around, hooning around in there right next to a preschool. So we might be able to have a look and see whether we can put some fencing in or some bollards, but it's going to be minimal because our priority is in ensuring that our parks, that are designated parks, are safe for public use.
Okay, that's interesting because this land, it's got a government playground in there.
Oh, if it's got a playground, different story.
There is a playground
it's got a playground,
in there.
Different story altogether. That means it is a park and we should be worried about it and it should be a high priority.
Okay.
So I'd be appreciative if you sent me an email just with a few details and I'll get the ball rolling on it.
That'd be great. Look, I've suggested a number of times through Fix My Street, etc. Bollards. It needs bollards to stop the access in my.
Typically that's the only thing that stops it. When we've tried using fencing, they just cut through it and go through it anyway.
Yeah.
But we can get access to very large rocks or what we call super gates, which are really huge, strong gates that can't be rammed. But depending on the situation, we can see what we can do there.
No, I appreciate that. Our secretary is now back. Has anybody else got any questions? I don't want to hold this. I appreciate it.
All right, Bill, just to Daniel.
Go for it, Nikki.
Just a quick one regarding the urban space that you were referring to at Coolum Court, that you say that you just look after. How come there's all these new tree plantings in there then?
Yeah, that's true. So so we take every opportunity to get our trees in where we think we can get away with it, right? Especially in an area like that, which is frequented by a few people, that is in an area that's used typically all the time. We've got a task to deliver hundreds of thousands of trees between now and 2045. So wherever we believe we can get away with it, where we're not impacting another land use, we'll stick a tree in. And the land use that comes after us then has to work around it. I mean, we're not silly about it because we know that that particular land, that area of land may need to be built on. So
no, that's great. I'm not complaining about the trees. It's great that the trees are there.
Yeah.
Just another question, and you may not be able to answer it. We've got all these white little picket throughout the area. What is? Do you know what that is?
So are they just star pickets painted white?
Yeah, they're called boundary something. They're little pickets, boundary all through the area. I was just
well, they sound like they might be survey. They sound like they might be survey markers.
Yep. No, they are. They look like that. And I was just wondering if you knew what that was. There's about 13 or 14 of them.
Yeah, often what will happen is where there's a need for a block to be confirmed, to be delineated on the ground, the government will pay for a surveyor to go out and just mark the various blocks. And that's usually in anticipation of some further works into the future. It could be 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It could be a long time, could be a short time. So without ever actually seeing them, that's what I'd speculate you're looking at.
Yeah. Nikki, I might have a little bit more on that. At the opening of the works on Brearley Street, I did catch up with the TCCS person looking after the Brearley Street upgrade, and they felt they were for a relocation of those lights. Apparently the lights are all out of alignment, the street lighting, and they marked where they should be. But they were going to confirm that for me. I haven't got that confirmation email yet.
Oh, that'll be great. But there's a lot of them. Oh,
I know. I went and had a look. I was looking at them with the engineers. But apparently there has been a contract let to relocate those lights. So there's a lot of work going on down there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Daniel, I've got another question here. I'm trying to do this by code because for some reason Michelle's voice is not coming through. She shouldn't have gone to the rugby game on the weekend. It's around how, in particular parks across the 10-year plan, are you going to report on what's occurred or provide upgrades? Is there going to be a yearly action plan?
Yes. So what we do is through our annual report, we give a briefing on what we've done, the highlights of what's happened in our parks, but we definitely include the expenditure, whether it be capital works or whether it be recurrent expenditure that we've invested across our parks network. It takes us about $70 million a year to run the urban open space program. That's everything from sports grounds to playgrounds, skate parks, ovals, parks, mini parks, laneways, the whole kit and caboodle. 500 employees, $70 million a year. It's a significant investment by the ACT government. As you can imagine, I mean, Canberra is blessed with all these sites all over the place. You need to invest to maintain them. One of the key things we're looking to do in the coming 12 months is to improve the way that we collect the clip from our mowing. Too much of it, it's finding its way into the stormwater and causing problems. So we're looking to improve by buying 2 street sweepers to come after our mowers so that we can clean the road as we go. So as far as the highlights, Bill, we report on those every year through our annual report. You'll see it there. There's a whole section on it.
Fantastic. I should invite you.
You can find those online.
I should invite you to another session like this to report on all that at some stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Busy at the moment. Another question here is, how well do you... Nora, you're after me. Wait.
On the street cleaners, while we're still on that subject, because then we'll lose it. We'll lose the thread. So, Daniel, I've got a problem with the street cleaners because they're actually pushing all the rubbish into the drain. It's not a vacuum. What you need is a vacuum to vacuum up all that debris. Because I'm looking at my gutter and it's full of, they've pushed all the rubbish into the drain and it's blocking the drain.
Right. Okay. Well, they're designed to do the exact opposite, Nora. But I'll take that observation back to the team. But the machines are designed to do the exact opposite. They're designed to push it into the machine. And I can tell you they come back full of stuff. So they're collecting some material at least.
Yeah, Daniel, she's correct. I can confirm
So,
that happens in my part of the world too.
It pushes it into the drains. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
when they
I email you daniel.iglesias@act.gov.au.
Yeah,
Daniel?
that's right.
Yeah, I'll take a photo and I'll show you. It's terrible. It's blocking the drain. Yeah.
Okay. I'll be interested to see that, Nora.
right. Now getting back onto my thread, we often get commentary in these consultations about directorates not working well together, and you don't have to answer this. We just hear things that's the responsibility of the other directorate or a further directorate, and that it just doesn't seem to come together at times.
Right.
Now, a general comment, if you want to.
Oh, no, listen. We have a very close relationship with EPSDD, Environment Planning Sustainable Development Directorate. We work together all the time. They help us with our rabbit control on the land that we manage because they're doing it on their own land. They help us with weed control because, again, they've got expertise that we don't. We help them with some other stuff as well. We're in the same building in Dixon, right? We share the same building. We've got a really good relationship with that directorate. It's by necessity that is the case. I'm not pretending that we have some magic formula. But because we're all in the business of public land management, we tend to have the same issues. So, I attend their meetings, they attend mine. I can't be critical about that. Similarly, with the ESA in relation to bushfire fuels, we share information, we sit in the same meetings. I can't be critical about it's their task. Inevitably I'll be asked questions that aren't for me because I have my accountability and other people have other accountability. That's just the way government is structured. But that's not to say that I can't take your question and talk to my colleagues and get back to you. That's what I try and do.
Okay. Now I think you gave me a clue that your interests include feral pest control.
Yes, it is.
Have
It's
you
a
heard
bugbear of mine.
Have you heard about the fox of Holder and Duffy?
The foxes, do you know what? I think foxes are the most beautiful animals on the planet. But unfortunately, they're in the wrong continent, right? And they cause chaos. We believe we have some of the highest densities of fox numbers in the urban ACT than anywhere else in Australia. Yeah. And managing foxes in the urban area, we do not have an answer for you. We can manage them in the open areas because we can do it safely, but I haven't heard of a good answer for managing foxes in the urban areas. I have to be honest with you, Bill.
They're so brave. They're amazing. They're beautiful creatures. But when
they are beautiful creatures and they adapt really, really well.
Yeah.
And if they only ate rabbits, I'd be happy. We'd all accommodate them.
Yeah.
But they
the
don't.
Cockatoos and chooks are getting out of where they should be.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that they do keep the rabbits under control, the poisons. But when you're talking about EPSDD controlling the weeds, well, the poison that they're, as I've already told you, but these people haven't heard it. So it's a new audience that they are actually killing your threatened lizard species. Yes, golden sun moth, because it penetrates into the ground and it's poisoning them before they can even hatch. It's airborne as well when you're spraying poison. So if they're experts, I can tell you they're doing the wrong thing. And as I've pointed out, you need to just get in there and dig them out. That's the safest way to do it. And only
I
those.
wish, you know what, Nora, I wish we had the funding to employ people to go around digging up our weeds.
You
It
got
would be a great world if we could do that.
you got volunteers all everywhere doing all this weeding for you. You know that, don't you? Thanks, Daniel.
Listen, the chemical thing is a good point, right? If we had an option for using chemicals, we'd use it. There's no doubt about it. You know, we even looked into using superheated water, steam, as a proxy for glyphosate, which is what we use in the urban area. And it's just not practical. In fact, it's more dangerous than using glyphosate. People can get really badly burnt. But we tend to focus our use of chemicals on hard areas where it's highly modified environments where there are no natural or cultural values. But you're right, Nora, in the more open areas, in the nature reserves, they do use dangerous chemicals, which does come at a cost.
But it really does need to stop, because the kangaroos are being blamed and they're not the ones responsible, are they? It's all this poison that's killing them off. And the poison baiting, 1080 poison baiting, have they banned?
So we're probably getting a little bit off kilter here. 1080 baiting is usable, as is the use of chemicals, as long as the land managers apply the label restrictions. You can only use them under certain circumstances in certain areas with certain precautions.
Look, are there any more questions out there? I know people are starting to drop out. So thank you, Daniel, for taking your time out to.
Pleasure, Bill. Anytime.
We will be lodging a submission. So if anybody on
Right.
here wants to add anything, send them along to info@westerncreek.org.au, and that'll be coming in the next few days. And we've recorded this session, so mainly anything you said that might be pertinent to our submission, we can capture and put in. So you'll be seeing something from us. I don't think there'll be any surprises. And thank you for your good effort in looking after our lands.
Good on you. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bill,
Yes, who's this?
it's
All
me, Nor. Is this your monthly meeting, or are you still having one at the end of the month as well?
We're having one at the end of the month. We didn't have one for
July.
July because we felt people needed a break from us. Now, I've got the light rail team coming. The people that are actually doing the planning for the light rail stage 2B, they're going to come and talk about their plans and listen to us. They're pretty good people. Give them a chance.
Yeah.
We do, and I'm quite happy to receive any questions you might have in advance. I think our position is going to be we've got to accept that it's going to happen. We're not going to argue that against light rail. What we're going to argue is that it be done the best to suit Western Creek. That is transfers, buses, all that. We don't have people tripping over, transferring between vehicles, and they get good access to the city, at least as good as they've got now. Okay?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okie doke. So you've got someone in the background there.
Yeah, that's Michelle.
Oh, is it? Oh, where are you?
I'm in my kitchen.
In your place.
Yeah.
And Michelle's in your place. Why couldn't she talk then?
We couldn't get the microphone working.
Oh, because you're working. Yours is working.
I know.
She should have jumped in with you.
Joys of technology. She's not sitting on
Dear. Anyway.
Okay.
So
See you, Nora. Nikki's got a question there.
No, I was just going to say thanks, Bill.
Yeah, thanks.
My pleasure. It's good. Did this work, do you think, doing it in the daytime?
I just thought I just got a tradesman here. That's why it's sort of.
So do we. He came to the door at one stage.
Oh, that was you, not Daniel. I thought it was Daniel.
It's the reason why we had this is because they couldn't come to the next meeting. Was that right, Bill? Daniel could. I know that he didn't make it to the last one.
He was due to come to the last one.
Yeah.
The next meeting is after the consultation closes.
Okay.
And
Yep.
we sent them a file of questions, and
Yeah.
I think they needed some time to prepare their answers.
Yeah.
One of the questions was on Coolo Park.
Yeah.
As you can see, we're flogging that everywhere.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
We'll keep on. We think it's fairly safe. And I've got
Yeah.
some answers. I will send the answers to you separately, Nikki.
Thanks
So
for
what
that.
they've said to us.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Okay, so thank you, everyone else. See you, June. Brad, you arrived late. No. Okay, so I'm going to shut it down now.
Yep.
And
Okay.
I will send a link out. If the recording works, I will send a link out for people to listen to it again.
Okay, yeah, that'd be
Oh.
great. Thanks heaps,
Okay.
Bill. Thanks,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.